Hello, this is Jana Vogel, and today is Tuesday, September the 10th, and I am here with Dr. Scott Stansfield. Thank you so much for joining me.
You are.
So, Scott is here because he has a miracle story that he would like to share. And Scott, I'm just going to let you start from there.
All right. I have two medical degrees. I was running a regenerative medical clinic as a physician a while back as an ND, and got some real sharp back pain a few months back. Didn't really think much about it. And the net result is one day it got overwhelming. I was taken to the emergency room. They did a bunch of tests, and they said, we're trying to figure out if we're going to send you by the Life Flight helicopter to Orlando to the trauma center, or we're going to send you down to private ambulance to the Ocala Trauma Center. Ended up going by ambulance to the trauma center. They did a bunch more tests. The next day, a group of doctors came in. There were 8 total, section head for the whole trauma center and 7 doctors. And they said, well, we got good news, we got bad news. The good news is you're still here. The bad news is you have metastatic bone cancer. It's non-curable. We can't fix it. And you have a very short life expectancy. This was about 3 months ago. And I said, talk to me about life expectancy. They said, well, we notice your birthday's Christmas Eve. You'll never make your birthday. You won't be anywhere close. You'll be gone long before then. I said, okay. I'm a dedicated Christian man. I have a wonderful relationship with my Creator. And I thought, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. So I'm okay with that. I've jammed 5 lifetimes into mine. So anyway, the long story short, it was so bad. My condition was so bad. I was assigned to hospice, which is end of life, before I ever got out of the hospital room that day. The next morning, my hospice team came. They met me. I was on hospice. And they said, your future is you've got about 3 or 4 months. It's doing cord compression. You probably have about another week. You'll be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, however short that's going to be. You'll be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. And that's your prognosis. There are 2 things you don't mess with. One is glioblastoma multiforme, the deeply embedded brain tumor. You really can't fix that. You can't get in there. It's too far deep. The other is metastasizing bone cancer. They said this is not just started. They said it's in your legs, your ankles, your hips, your ribs, your spine, your neck, your shoulders, everything. It's all over the body. You're riddled with it. And your bones are dimpled with the cancer. And that's a death sentence. It's non-operable. Can't take bones out of your body. It's deep enough that the radiation won't penetrate the bones that far to get to it. They said we could try chemo. It might give you another 7 to 14 days, but you'd be the most miserable creature on the planet. And I wouldn't take chemo if it were me, is what the doctor said. I said, well, then we won't do chemo. So long story short, I've resigned myself that this is my fate. And again, I'm okay with it. And my sons came out from Southern California. My sister came out from San Diego. 1 week to see me, say our goodbyes. And then the week after that, my daughters came out from Pennsylvania, say our goodbyes.
When would you say that was? Like at the end of August?
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. So it is so bad at this particular point. I cannot get into my bed by myself. I have to have Sonia come, best friend and my ex-wife, love her dearly. She has to lift my feet onto the bed because I don't have enough strength to get in bed. I fell asleep one day with my arm underneath me like this, laying on my stomach, and I didn't have enough energy to turn. It was too painful to even turn over. I woke up like this the next day, just a mess. But long story short, in a period of about 20 days, I went from 169.5 pounds to 149 pounds. I lost 19 pounds, 7 ounces in about as many days. I got to enjoy all my meals twice, once on the way down, about 15 minutes later on the way up again. Not fun. When you're nauseous, you're vomiting, you're dizzy, you've got vertigo, and you're in extreme pain, you don't want to eat. It's not that you can't, you have no desire to eat. You'd have to force yourself to eat. And how much fun is that when you know it's gonna come right back up? So I couldn't dress myself. I couldn't get in and out of bed. I couldn't put on socks and underwear by myself. I had to have somebody from hospice come out. They were coming out initially 4 times a week. Now they're coming out 3. To bathe myself because you can't bend, you can't bathe, can't take care of yourself. I mean, this is a mess.
Where would you say your pain level was?
Probably about a 9. Now, I do pain really, really well. I've been in La Légion étrangère, I've been in the French Foreign Legion, been in the Marine Corps, I've been blown up, shot up. I do pain really well. So for me, it's a little unusual. We talk about a pain score, for example, 0 to 10, 10's you're maxed out. My 9 would be somebody else's 14 pretty easily because I do pain really well. So anyway, nothing in my world is working. I can't hold food down. I'm losing weight. I made an emergency trip to Carson City, Nevada, to a well-known physician out there, and I was going to stay there for about 2 weeks, find out if he could help me. Hospice said, do not go. You could die on that trip. I went against their advice. I almost died on that trip, like to never made it back. I finally made it back, more dead than alive. And today is what? Let's look at the calendar real quick. And today is Tuesday, the 10th. So 2 weeks ago on Thursday would have been August 29th. Hospice comes out to my house. My legs are just purple. My skin is all mottled from the waist down. I'm starting to look like something that came out of, the Tower Auschwitz. I'm getting bony. It's just not looking good. It's just not looking good at all. They came out and they said, you're at your end of life right now. You're losing weight. You're not eating. You're not drinking. You're on constant pain medication. And so we need to move you to a hospice facility, and that's where you're going to pass away. I said, okay. They were going to call an ambulance the following week. Well, the ambulance didn't get called that week. And I had prayed that night. It was really funny, as a devout Christian. You pray for things, and I had said my prayers. I was totally okay with my Heavenly Father taking me whenever he wanted to. That's his privilege. And I'm honored for the time I've had here. But my daughters took me to Bonefish Grill, and this isn't something I would ordinarily share in a testimony. This is a pretty personal one, so I'll share it anyway. Took me to Bonefish Grill, and one of my daughters said, Dad, let me ask you a question. I get to ask a question. You don't get to be mad at me, all right? I said, sure. Any question you want? I said, any question you want. She said, do you want to live? I said, what kind of a question is that? Of course I want to live. Why would you ask? And she said, because I've jammed 5 lifetimes into one. I've lived in 52 countries, traveled to 52 countries. I've lived in 14. I've got a great relationship with Christ. I'm ready to go anytime. I'm glad to see my parents again. I'll leave friends here. I'll see friends there. She said, I've never, ever heard you say, I want to live. And it occurred to me out of the mouth of babes. Here's my 31-year-old daughter. It had occurred to me, I had never, ever prayed for God to spare my life. I just prayed that God would do whatever he wanted with my life, but I never asked to have it spared. And it really bothered me. So I went home that night and I prayed, and I had so much pain. I would pass out from the pain, and I would wake up and I would pray some more, because I'm not a prayer warrior. That's not me. That's not my gift. I would pass out again. I would wake up. I would pray some more. I did this all night long. Finally, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I said, okay, I'm done. There's nothing left of me. Now, if you're a Christian, you're either going into a storm, you're coming out of a storm, or you're in the middle of a storm, because that's the Christian life. If you become a Christian, your enemy will never leave you alone. You know that. You know what I'm talking about. If you understand this, you know what I'm talking about. So I finally said at the end of the day, I said, God, I said, there's nothing left of me. I have nothing. I mean, zero. Nada. And I said, okay, this is all you. This is all you. If you want me to live, I've asked to live. If you want me to live, send me a solution. You own a universe. You got everything under control. If you want me to live, send me a solution. And that was the end of that. I said, okay, it's in your hands, God. Now, when there's nothing left of you, that's when God steps in and says, now let me show you what I can do. So the next day out of the blue, I get a call from a friend of mine that I've talked to forever, and he says, I understand via the grapevine, you got some minor health challenges. And I'm thinking, time out. Minor health challenges? I'm 9/10 dead. Yeah, that's kind of a minor health challenge for sure. And he says, I'm going to send you something. He said, don't worry, I got you covered. I said, Michael, you don't even know what I have. I got you covered. So 3 or 4 days later, here comes this little package in the mail. He said, I just want you to take this and tell me what you think. I said, okay. So I take this product, and on day 2, I notice my nausea and vomiting's gone. My vertigo's gone. On day 3, my appetite starts to come back. On day 3 and up, I can eat food. It stays down. Now I'm walking with a rollover walker. I'm all bent over. I can't function. I can't stand up straight. I have no strength at all. If the walker falls over or trips, I'm done. And they said, whatever you do, don't fall, because it's eaten into your bones enough. If you fall, you're not going to break. You're going to shatter. And if you shatter, we can't put you back together like Humpty Dumpty. It's not going to happen. First of all, if you shatter, no one's ever going to operate on you to do a hip replacement or anything else. Number one, you're 74 years old. You'll be 75 Christmas Eve. No one's going to operate on you. And number two, if you shatter with cancer, even if they wanted to operate on you, they're not going to, because you're already done. Why would they put you through this process? And so I have to be very careful not to shatter, because right now, based on my current condition, I don't bounce anymore. I shatter. So anyway, I'm bent over, I'm walking on this walker, I'm doing my thing. And all of a sudden, I realize that every day is another miracle. One day, about 3 or 4 days ago, I realized I could reach down while I was sitting on the toilet. I can actually put my socks and my underwear on for the first time. Now, that may not seem like a big deal when you can't. And it is a big deal at that moment in time. So anyway, I've been 10 days on these products. The third day, I called the gentleman that sent me the products. I said, get me in touch with the president of North America. I got him on the phone. Sorry to be emotional. But staying alive is pretty emotional. So I called the guy up and I said, what is this stuff? What are you doing? What am I taking? I have 2 medical degrees. What you're doing is impossible medically. It's absolutely impossible. The whole medical world knows this. He says, isn't it fun when the impossible happens and it happens to you? I said, fun and scary. I said, what is this? He said, we're going directly into the system in a way that's never been done before, ever. And we're building the mitochondria at hundreds of times the speed it would normally be built. Now, the mitochondria are the power plants within the cell. That's your batteries. That's what runs your whole body. Now, you've seen a AA battery. That's 51 grams of energy in that AA battery. The only difference is when the AA battery goes dead, it's done. You don't redo it again, not rechargeable. Now, you're not running on 51 grams like a AA battery. You're running on 50 grams, less than a AA battery. That's the mitochondria in the cell. It's 70% up to 70% of your body weight. That's what keeps everything running. And when the mitochondria have plenty of energy, the body can heal itself. It doesn't need supplements. It doesn't need drugs. It doesn't need probiotics. It doesn't need 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. It doesn't need vitamin D. What the body really needs is for you to leave it the heck alone. Give it the energy it needs so it can fix itself. It doesn't want your help. And I can tell you this as a doctor. It doesn't want your help. Your body doesn't need your help. It needs you to get out of the way, stop burying it in stuff it's got to process, stop with all the stuff you're taking that it has to work through and sucks energy to deal with. But here's a product that goes directly to the mitochondria. And when it does, the energy level in the mitochondria goes through the roof. Now, I have terminal cancer. Cancer is a very low maintenance disease. It requires very little energy. Cancer doesn't live in an oxygen environment. Your cells desperately need an oxygen environment. Your mitochondria need oxygen. Cancer thrives better with no oxygen. It thrives better in an acidic environment. And if you're sick, you're acidic. And if you've got cancer, you're really acidic. And if you have terminal cancer like I do, acidic takes on a whole new meaning. So I started taking these products, run the clock forward 10 days. I'm over at Jana's house. I am not supposed to be able to get out of bed. I'm here. I'm not allowed to travel. I didn't even tell my hospice team. They found out this morning. They're freaked. They don't know what to do. They're so angry at me right now. It's ridiculous. My hospice nurse came over and she said, Scott, it's time for your weekly mandatory visit. Got to make sure you're still alive. You're still doing good. She says, I'll be over this afternoon. I said, I'm not really home right now. She says, well, you will be by this afternoon. I said, no, I'm not really home at all. She said, did you travel? I said, yeah, I did. She said, I thought we promised after Reno, you weren't going to travel anymore. That trip almost killed you. I said, well, this one was fine. And she says, where are you? I said, I'm in Dallas, Texas. She said, what? I said, I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm visiting a friend. Actually, the truth of the matter is on my bucket list before I died was a lap steel guitar. And I found a company out here that had one. And I came out here to buy it. So I called Janet from the airport and I said, how far are we from McKinney, Texas? She said, where are you? I said, I'm at DFW Airport. And she says, no, you're staying at my house tonight. Where are you going to stay? I said, I'm going to stay at a hotel. She said, no, you're staying at my house tonight. So she drove me out there and we had a wonderful time. My upright walker that I have to stay alive has never been out of the back of a car. We've walked all over McKinney. We walked all over the sanctuary. We walked over downtown square. Okay. It's never come out of the car since the airport. I brought it along because if nothing else, peace of mind as I'm walking down the long airport corridors, because at the end of the day, I can walk, but all I have to do is twist the wrong way and the pain shoots through. It's like a hot knife, a white hot knife going right into your spinal cord and your legs will buckle. So I'm carrying the walker, not because I have to have it to walk. I don't. I'm carrying it because it's so long through the terminals that if nothing else, my peace of mind likes it there. So anyway, what can I say? I have probably a dozen people back home that have watched this, including where I stay. We've gone through tears together. We've gone through joy together. We've gone through depression together over my condition. And we've gone through jubilation together at what's happening, because what's happening cannot happen. It's medically impossible. Isn't it great when something that's medically impossible becomes possible? Now, what is incurable? Incurable means there's not a drug that works on it. Is the body incurable? No, the body's got its own thing going. Your body and your Heavenly Father, they got their own thing going. And incurable for a pharmaceutical industry, incurable for a doctor, incurable for a medical industry. It's got nothing to do with incurable for God and the body. Nothing. Isn't it great to see a miracle happen right in front of you that can't happen? So why do I do this video? Somebody said, wow, you're really passionate about this product. I said, I'm alive. Real easy to get passionate about something that if you didn't have it, you'd be dead by now. Easy to get passionate. So why don't we tell you this? If this is what this has done for me in this condition, what do you think it'll do for you in yours? You're not in danger of dying, hopefully, right now. And if you are, you need to get on this like yesterday would work. Yesterday would work. Somebody said to me, wow, those products, they cost about $200 a month to be on those products. That's expensive. I said, excuse me, expensive compared to what? How expensive is it to be dead? How expensive is a funeral? I said, if these products were $1,000 a month, I'll take it. If it gives me 5 or 10 more years than the cancer got me then, I'll take the 10 years. I'm not worried about $200 a month. It's changed my whole life and it's given me life back. And I've now seen that happen with a dozen other people. This is a product like no product you've ever seen. When I went to med school, I was a network marketer. I've been a 7-figure income earner in 3 companies. I know how to make $95,000 a month in this industry. I did it for 45 years before I retired from networking. And here's what I'm going to tell you. In 45 years, I've never seen a product anything like this. And I have no doubt I never will. So if you're looking at this, right time, right place, right product. And by the way, this product is not new. There are 5 areas in the world called the blue zones. And the blue zones are where people live freakish long lives, 100, 105, 110, 120 sometimes. There's only 5 areas in the world, little niches where people live. They don't get cancer. They don't get brain problems. They don't get Alzheimer's. They don't get dementia. They don't get MS. They don't get all the stuff we get over here. And the biggest blue zone is in Japan. And a research company in Japan, headed by a Japanese French doctor, started researching people, saying, why are these people living this long? What's going on? What's different about them? How come we can't do that over here? And it was a combination of their lifestyle and what they ate and how they organized. And what was happening is there were certain bacteria in the gut that had modified, and they were very, very unique. And that's what was keeping them alive. The gut was actually fermenting stuff in the stomach. And it was happening just in those areas. So they went and researched what was going on with these people. Why were they living so long? And then they took and they found the bacteria. They found what was going on. It was starting in the stomach. It wasn't starting in the gut. It wasn't happening over here. It wasn't the genes. It was actually influencing the genes. And they said, can we duplicate this somehow? Can we duplicate this? And they did. They found in olive leaves, for example, in trees that were over 2,000 years old, there was an agent on the back of those, not like a mold, although that comes to mind, a bacteria, whatever you want to call it, on the olive leaf that was unique to trees that were 2,000 years old. And they were taking those trees were grown in those olive trees and groves were in Spain. And they were using those olive leaves from those 2,000-year-old trees, along with other things, to re-engineer what they were doing in the blue zone. So now we're taking what's happening naturally with centurions, 100 years old, and super centurions, 110 plus. Now we're duplicating that with science and nanotechnology. First time. Only company in the world that has these patents. Nobody has this. White papers, books, labels, National Institutes of Health, everything. Nobody has this. This is a unique product. It's one of a kind anywhere in the world. And it does what no other product does. And I can tell you that for a certainty. I'm alive because of it. So now we're going to see if we can duplicate what's going on with these people. And we're going to take it from the blue zone and we're going to bring it to you for the first time. Fast forward, they're studying the blue zone people in the largest blue zone in the world, Okinawa, Japan, where they're 100 years old and they're picking rice in the fields every day at 100. Blue phone, we're not doing something right over here. We're one of the sickest nations on earth in America. So a billionaire from Mexico gets together with his partner. She's very health conscious. He goes over there and he seeks out this lab and he says, I want to partner with you. And they struck up a partnership. The company's headquartered in Mexico. Imagine that. Not here? Wonder why. It's headquartered in Mexico. The second country they opened up was Colombia. The third country they opened up was Peru. Now, I may have Colombia and Peru backwards, but it's Mexico, Colombia, Peru. And the last country they opened up by demand was the United States. So we have a marketing opportunity here like we've never had before, like we've never had before. Sankey does a health tour where they take equipment, they take microscopes, they measure your capillary blood flow. They check to see where you're at, the health of what's going on in your body. You take your cell phone, you take pictures before and after. You take a little bit of the drink, you wait 30 minutes, you drink about this much, you wait 30 minutes, you take the pictures are completely different. And here's what I can tell you. The microscope doesn't care whether you understand this or not. It doesn't care whether you get the technology. It doesn't care if you understand blue zones. The microscope is an unbiased observer. If you can see changes in your body in 30 minutes or less, you don't need to wonder if the product's working. You're seeing it working. One picture's worth 1,000 words. Now, as I say, you don't have to understand how this works. And I'll be real candid. I have 2 medical degrees. I don't understand how it works. Ask me if I give a rip, whether I understand it or not. Here's what I do understand. I was dead. I'm alive. I was going backwards and falling off a cliff. I'm going forward and I'm climbing a mountain. I couldn't function. Now I can. I went from OxyContin to oxycodone to light morphine to strong morphine to sustained release morphine to sustained release liquid morphine plus additional morphine for breakthrough pain. Then I went the next level down from that. That was dexamethasone. And finally, I ended up with the mother of all problem pain-solving issues. And that's this guy right here. You probably can't see that, but that's a fentanyl patch. Now, if you're not familiar with fentanyl, it's in the news all the time. It's 100 times stronger than morphine. And that fentanyl patch was developed for one disease only, inoperable terminal bone cancer, exactly what I have. And they start you off with a fentanyl patch at 10. Then you go to 20, then 25, then 50, then 100. I'm on 150, and there's nothing stronger than a fentanyl patch. My fentanyl patches are going to be reduced next week. We're going from 150 down to 100. I was taking pain medication every 3 hours. Now I take it once a day. I was non-functional. Now I walk. Couldn't get out of bed. Now I hop out. And I'm walking without a walker. So if you're seeing this, and by the way, I'll try to be more passionate about this on another video. Okay? If you're seeing this, this is your opportunity to have a breakthrough like you've never had before. And people always call, well, will it work for this? Will it work for that? Well, those are disease labels, people. Those are disease labels. If you go to your doctor and you say, wow, I'm lightheaded and this and that, but I put some honey under my tongue, I drank some orange juice, I was fine. He says, well, you caught diabetes. Here's my question. How'd you catch diabetes? You had a little diabetes in a cup on top of your fridge. You open the fridge to get the milk out to put in your Cheerios, or my age, your grape nuts. And the diabetes fell in your grape nuts. You ate it, you caught a disease. No, it's a lifestyle disease. But your doctor over here says your pancreas quit. That's your disease. And I'm going to say that's nonsense. It's nonsense. Your pancreas quit's not your disease. What allowed your pancreas to quit, that's your disease. The fact it quits your symptom. If you have blocked arteries, that's not your disease, people. I don't care what your doctor tells you. Your arteries were not designed to be blocked. Your pancreas came with a lifetime warranty. Your heart came with a lifetime warranty until we screw it up. So if your arteries are blocked, that's not your disease. I want to know why they were allowed. What happened in your life that allowed those arteries to become blocked? That's my question as a doctor. What allowed them to become blocked? That's your disease. The fact they are blocked, that's the symptom of your disease. All we do in this country is we medicate symptoms. We do not treat disease. We medicate symptoms. We do not go to root cause and corrective action. We don't fix stuff here. We manage your symptoms. What I'm taking in this product, newsflash, it ain't managing my symptoms. It's fixing my problem. And that's priceless. And for everything else, there is, in fact, MasterCard.
And you have now got to know Dr. Scott Stansfield.
That's
extremely well.
my story, and I'm sticking to it. And as I say, sorry to be emotional, but staying alive is pretty emotional.
He's the walking living.
I have to laugh and cry at the same time. Staying alive is really, really emotional, especially when you're supposed to be dying like today, tomorrow, the next day. That was my time up. I'm supposed to be in hospice, in my bed, with no medication and with no hope. Now I'm talking to you in a video from Dallas, Texas.
I double that. Wow. Love you. Thank you very much. And for the for you out here who are seeing this video and meeting Dr. Stansfield at the first time, and my name is Jana Vogel, whoever sent you this video, go back to them and go, they never mentioned the name. What is going on? And they will tell you, and they will let you know what it's about and how to order it, and then how to get better yourself. And I say get better, and he talked about solving the problem, but the cool thing is this, with this product, they didn't look at a problem. They looked at a group of people who had made it to 100 plus and said, wow, how did this happen? This is the coolest thing ever. So they're not looking to solve a problem, heal, treat, or cure disease at all. They're actually looking at these amazing lives and going, I wonder.
They looked at people with no problems.
No problems, no dementia, no Alzheimer's, no MS. I mean, so we're not looking to cure disease or anything like that. We're looking at, this is a picture of health. How can we duplicate that? How can we make that happen in a natural, organic fashion? So once again, go back to the person who gave you this video and ask them, how is this possible? What can I do? And just know everybody's body's different. So your results.
What we're doing here is balancing the body.
Exactly.
We're getting out of its way.
I love
We're
that.
not bearing it with supplements and problems and drugs. We're balancing the body, and we're giving the mitochondria, the powerhouse within the body, we're giving it so much energy that it can simply do what it was designed to do by your creator, and that's called self-repair. Yeah. And by the way, if you're watching this video, this is the first, and at this moment, the only video I have ever done. So you're making history here, as am I.
Okay, have a good one. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.